Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, good evening, I guess, depending on where you guys are located. Hope everybody's having a great Friday and ready for a great weekend. My name is CJ Henry, and today we're going to talk about value stream management. And session 5 of our value stream management series is focused on change risk analysis. If you guys have been with us or following this series, as I said, we're on series 5 now. So we started with series 1, focused on integration and via incidents. We looked at orchestration, going from ADO to Jenkins in session 2. We did collaboration, where we're integrating and getting feedback from chat ops tools like Slack in session 3. And then last week's session was around automation testing and reliability. And so as we continue through this series, we're now, as I said, on series 5. And our focus is on change risk analysis, which will lead us in the next couple weeks into governance and then ultimately business and flow metrics. So I'm sure everybody on this call at one point or another has either been the requester, submitting a request to have code deployed somewhere, or B, they work in operations. Maybe they're part of the CAB team, and they're the ones reviewing the requests, making sure that the things that are being put in on a server, particularly in production, are safe, and we understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and we're meeting our audit requirements or whatever the case may be. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, just in case you guys maybe haven't been part of the previous 4 sessions or you forgot, let's talk just a level set on what value stream is. So value stream is any process that provides value. We've talked about this again throughout these sessions, and it really is anything, any process, any flow of work that produces value for you, for the organization, for a group of people, whatever the case may be. This could be everything from the process or the stream that you follow to get your kids ready for school and on the bus. Maybe it's the process you follow for packing up your things and getting ready to go home from work at the end of the day. Or maybe it's just the process you go through and getting ready to start your workout. Each night you hit the gym a little bit, and there's a process you go through, get your clothes on, get your headphones in, pick the right tunes to listen to, and whatever. All of those can be value streams, and all of those are providing value to you or to somebody at the end of the day. So that's what we're focusing on here, and how can we improve our value stream? How can we manage our value stream? So some of the keys to value stream management listed here, obviously flow metrics, integration, workflow orchestration, and governance. And these things are key to seeing the value, to optimizing the value stream, and then ultimately measuring the value stream. And some key pieces of our value stream management platform, the visualizer, which you guys have seen, and I'll show you a quick glimpse here in a minute, allows you to both, whether you're creating something through ConnectALL or you do it manually, allows you to see how things start with, say, an idea in the organization, what they work their way through different tools and processes until they come out the other end in production, producing value and revenue for both you and the company. The integration piece is, once you've seen that, having the ability to automate those wherever possible and create efficiencies wherever possible. And then value stream insights is that measuring piece at the very end, where you're able to start building metrics and analytics around your value stream, understand how long it takes work to go through certain parts of that stream, and what you can do to improve or optimize those streams. So that said, back to today's topic, change risk analysis. As I said, you guys have probably all been on one side of the table or another in trying to get something deployed. And as I know from personal experience in past lives, the questions are, hey, you want me to deploy this code in production? Well, where did that code come from? Did you test that code? Did you meet these audit requirements? Those kind of questions come up, and we don't always have good answers. I know that my last role before I came to ConnectALL, we were actually talking about trying to understand how an artifact ended up in production, and our auditors, our external auditors, were asking to see the job and the story and the epic and the idea and all of the pieces and parts that came together, the value stream, if you will, that got that code into production, to make sure that we followed the right processes. So again, you know, taking, in this case, I got some random example of some lines of Java here that we're trying to get into our production server. So to kind of set the stage here, let's talk about how we can do that. So first off, I want to show you our value stream visualizer. And in Ralph's retail organization, you'll see he's got ADO as his way of doing and tracking work. We're leveraging Slack and ServiceNow in our operations area. We've got Jenkins, we've got JUnit. So you guys can see, if you've been through our sessions, this is something we've been building upon as we go through those sessions. And so these are all the pieces and parts in Ralph's retail that bring value to the organization and bring value to their customers. Now, Ralph has chosen to deploy some code, and his operations team, before they execute that deploy, they're asking questions and they want to understand what's involved. So just imagine if you had the ability to visualize that line of code and you were able to, in near real time, without a lot of human intervention, without a lot of people running around trying to build spreadsheets or build reports or whatever the case is, if that information was just automatically gathered from your tools and it was automatically put together and displayed on a dashboard, something like you guys see here. So you can see in Ralph's retail, we have a lot of different stories that are going on. This list is dynamically updated. One of these is we want some drill down capabilities. And you can see that I've got the ability to drill down and see, hey, here's a story and here's the test that was associated with it. If I jump down to a different one, I have the ability to drill in and understand, hey, I've got a story here. I've got my test case that was executed. I can drill in and look at the various builds that were associated with this. And I can drill in to a build and I can see the line of code that was associated with that build. Now, this is just one example, kind of a simple example, I'll give you that. But the idea here is understanding, hey, when I ask to have this artifact or this story, or maybe we want to flip this on its head and we want to go by line of code, we can do that. And I want this line of code deployed to a test server, or maybe I want it to deploy to production, which is typically where cabs come into play. I have the ability to, through value stream management and through ConnectALL's Insight Analytics, I have the ability to actually see that line of code and understand, trace it all the way back to the story that it was involved in. Understand what builds were involved, what test cases were involved. I didn't set that up here today, but you could even set it up to say, hey, I want to understand all these various tests. And let me see if, I don't know if I have one that's got more tests in it or not. Let me try to pick one that's, no, let's hoping I'd have one that maybe had some more tests. This is demo data, so you know it's a bit limited, but imagine if you had multiple tests here, multiple test runs, test cases, and you could look at this code, what we've got here, a routes.js file, and you can understand all the tests that went against it, whether it be unit testing, performance testing, and understand the pass-fail rate as a cab member or as that individual who's responsible for approving code that goes into production. That would be huge. That would make your job a lot easier. It would give you some confidence and some reassurance that what you're putting into production has been vetted and is thoroughly ready to be put into production without causing you guys major outages or problems, which is the exact opposite of providing value to your customer. It's taking value away. So just, you know, this is just, again, a simple example to show you guys that we have the ability to integrate our processes and organizations, to visualize that information, and then start producing reports and start producing metrics that show us how all those things tie together so that we can very quickly answer an audit question or approve a request to push something into production. We can also look at things like the DORA metrics and start understanding, hey, as we deploy code, how often are we deploying code into production? Are we being a little bit too disruptive to our production environment? What's our change fail rates? And start understanding how that works by the organization, by team, by particular application, and say, you know what, we deploy this same application every week, and they continually have failures. They continually disrupt production, bring our environments down. I'm going to stop deploying that application until we can get a handle on that and figure out what the core problem is. And again, make our production deploys more stable, make our environments more stable. And what that does is that provides efficiencies by freeing up people's time of not having to jump on a SWAT team to get production up and running. It provides value to your customer, because they're able to access your website or your mobile app or whatever it may be on a more reliable basis and get reliable answers out of it. So, some of the other things is mean time to repair. This is obviously a crazy mean time to repair. 7.7 weeks. Could you imagine in your organization, if your production environment went down and it took almost 8 weeks for us to get that production environment back up? That would be a disaster. I can imagine every manager and executive in the company would be losing their minds. So maybe when you're looking at this and you're drilling into that request that was submitted to you as a CAB member, you're saying, hey, we got a lot of change failure rate here, a high change failure rate here. And when something fails, it takes forever in this application to get it back up and running. So let's go back and rethink how we deploy that application. Let's rethink how often we deploy that application. Let's rethink what's going on in that application so we can reduce our failure rate, so we can reduce the amount of time it takes to get us an issue resolved and production back up and running. Same with lead time on how long it takes things to turn around. So the general idea here is we're tapped into those tools and we're able to understand all the pieces and parts that brought that artifact together when it was time to go into production. So you know what you're deploying and you know what you're deploying, what it went through and what it involved. And also when you deploy those applications or when those teams deploy things to production, how successful are we historically speaking? And is there a particular application or artifact or team that maybe we need to do a deep dive into and improve the way they do work or how work is done or how something is packaged so that it's more secure and more stable in production? Because the last thing we want to do is take production down. And as we all know, issues found in production are way more costly than issues that are found and resolved earlier in the life cycle. So today wasn't a big day about going through a lot of technical, how do we build things? How do we do things like this? It was more about showing you guys the ability and just kind of getting you guys to think about the ideas of, are we able to group these things together? And what would it be like if you were able to quickly, you can see here, I simply just launched a dashboard and made a couple links or clicked on a couple links, and I'm able to see what's involved in that deployment request. So the idea here was to get you guys thinking about that and thinking about value stream management and kind of feeding into the overall concept of what value stream management is and what we're trying to do in these sessions. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you got you guys thinking about your next CAB meeting that you may have, or about the next request you have to submit to the CAB management team. And with that said, I'm going to leave the floor open to see if anybody has any questions. If what kind of thoughts you guys may have about what we've talked about or about the sessions in general over the last few weeks. Doesn't seem that we've got any questions or any comments today. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a fabulous Friday. I hope everybody has a great weekend, or if it's late in the evening for you, depending on where you're located, I hope your weekend's already started off great. That said, I hope you guys come back and join us next Friday. We'll be doing Value Stream Series Session 6, and we'll be talking about improving quality and reliability via governance and compliance. Everybody have a great day and a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. So I don't know if you guys are still there. You caught me right before I hit end. I got a question that popped up. The question is, what if I would like to measure cycle time instead of lead time? We absolutely can do that. It's simply a matter of the way that we query the data. In my lead time chart you see here, I'm looking at from when that thing started until when it was closed or completed. We could simply modify that and we could display a particular section of that. So cycle time is nothing but a subset of lead time. So we would just decide what you're interested in. Hey, I want to know how long it takes to go through QA, or I want to know how long it takes for requirements to be written, or something of that nature. We could focus in on those statuses and that part of the workflow and present cycle time for just that piece to say, hey, in this case, my lead time is 12.6 weeks, but out of that, 3 weeks of that time or 4 weeks of that time is QA cycle time. So we absolutely can do that by tapping in and presenting that information. And again, it's real time without you having to generate reports on a weekly, daily basis, whatever the case is. Anybody else have any questions? All right, well then I will head off for the day. You guys have a good one. Hope to see you guys next Friday.